So what's going on guys, Kate is here and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you the top 3 best new solo player builds in New World. So for each and every single build I will explain what attributes, weapon masteries and even weapon and gear perks you want to have. Then what gems and specific gear you want to use to get out your stats as much damage as possible. Then as well I will show you the best gameplay of me using different weapons, so you would know which abilities you want to use first on your enemies and much more. So, if this sounds interesting to you, then let's get right into it. So then moving over to the first build, which is the one and only bow and hatchet, and these are the attributes you want to have. So no matter from which level you start using this build, you first of all want to get your dexterity to 200 and then get 50 points in constitution and then continue putting everything else in dexterity. And around level 60 you should have 300 dexterity and 150 constitution. And lastly for your gear you want to go with the light category, and the best setup is to have medium chest piece and then the rest light equipment. So then, taking a closer look at the first weapon, which is the bow, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first things first, you want to unlock the first ability called the evade shot, and then get these 3 perks. Then afterwards, get the second ability called the poison shot, and then get these 3 perks. Then from here, let's move over to the other side and unlock the last third ability called the penetrating shot, and then get these 4 perks, and that's it. Now from this point and onwards, you're free to pick and choose which perks you want to unlock next. So then let's move over to the second weapon, which is the hatchet, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all you want to unlock the berserk ability with these 2 perks. Then afterwards unlock the second ability called the feral rush, and then get these 2 perks. Then lastly unlock the last third ability with these 2 perks, and that's it. Now from this moment you're free to choose in whichever order you want to spend your points. Okay, so now let's go over to the gameplay where I'll show you the best way to play this build. And for the weapon we have the hatchet, and when attacking an enemy it's super simple. You want to use your Q ability, aka activate berserk mode, and then keep on using auto attacks and use the R and F abilities, which are just simple damage spells. The best thing about berserk mode is that it will give you self-healing and movement speed, so you can use it to run away or run towards an enemy. And then for the second weapon we have the bow, and the first Q spell is called the poison shot, which gives you the ability to shoot an arrow, and when it reaches a target the arrow will explode and create a green poison smoke, and enemies standing in that smoke will be taking damage every second. Then the second ability is called the penetrating shot, which deals a lot of damage, and the arrow itself can go through multiple players, which makes the spell very useful in PvE and PvP as well. And then lastly our third ability is called the evade shot, which when using makes your character leap back 5 meters while shooting 1 arrow. Okay, so the best way to attack a player is at the start always try to have a distance between you and the enemy, so no matter if you're farming mobs in PvE or doing solo PvP, the same principle and rules apply. So from distance you want to use the bow, and the way I like to do it is shoot 1 normal attack and then shoot 1 poison shot and then use the penetrating shot, and this will poison the enemy and make him take damage every second. Then from here always try to keep on using your dodge rolls and swapping your weapon, and this will activate your perks on the bow, which will give you the ability to get haste and damage increase. So for as long as you keep your distance, keep using the bow, but then when the enemy comes close to you or you to him, switch to the hatchet and activate berserk mode, and use the R and F ability whenever they get off cooldown. And then lastly, to again create even more distance, switch to the bow, and by using the evade shot and normal attacks you should be able to finish off the enemy. My main point that I want you to understand is to use the bow for range attacks, and for close distance fighting use the hatchet. Both weapons are very high damage, and the hatchet itself is meant more for spamming left clicks, while the bow will take more time to practice aiming. And then last thing I want you to practice is dodge rolling and swapping your weapon back and forth. So it's very simple. You normally run, then dodge once, and before the animation ends you swap your weapon. So then without the animation you can dodge twice, and this will give you more crit chance and just general movement speed. This one dodge and swapping from bow to hatchet and then back to bow will give you nice speed boosts, which you can use normally to run around the map a lot faster, or in PvP and PvE to create more distance and make yourself a very hard target to catch. So remember to utilize the hatchet's berserk mode, which will give you increased speed boosts, and then when that gets on cooldown keep on doing dodge rolls and swapping from your bow and back to it, and this will give you huge amount of movement speed and not a single player will be able to catch you in open world. So now for my last and final conclusions for this build. This bow and hatchet weapon combination right now is one of the best solo builds for PvP and PvE. Then of course you have to consider that to play this build, it will be a lot harder and take more time to practice aiming, especially at moving targets, because it may seem easy to hit a standing target with a bow, but in reality it's actually quite hard. So then last but not the least, for the bow and hatchet you want to use the opal gem, and then for all of your gear use the Enix gems. And then on top of all this, to find out the best weapon and gear perks, watch this video, which is titled which weapon and gear perks are the best for your build. You can find the link in this video's description or scroll through my channel, and in that video I will specifically explain how perks work and which ones are the best for your specific gear / weapons and much more. So in a quick summary, if you're looking to do high damage or you just want to use one of the best solo builds, then for sure try this one out and have fun. So then moving over to the second solo player build, which is the strongest mage player setup. And for the weapons we want to use the void gauntlet and ice gauntlet, and then these are the attributes you want to have. So first things first, if you start from level 0 you want to get your intelligence to 150 and then start building your constitution, and around level 60 you should have 300 intelligence and 150 constitution. And lastly, for your gear you want to go with the medium category, and the best gear setup is to have heavy helmet, heavy chest armor, medium gloves, light pants and medium boots, and this will give you 22.9 kg weight, which is exactly just below the heavyweight category. So then moving over to the first weapon, which is the void gauntlet, and then these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all you want to unlock both these two perks and then get the first ability called the Oblivion, and then get these two perks. Then afterwards unlock the second ability called the Petrifying Scream and then get these two perks. And now let's move over to the other side and unlock the last third ability called the Orb of Decay and then get these three perks, and that's it. Now from this moment you can unlock all the other perks in whatever way you like. Okay, so now let's move over to the second weapon, which is the Ice Gauntlet, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all you want to unlock the first ability called the Ice Spikes and then get these three perks. Then afterwards unlock the second ability called the Ice Storm and then get these three perks. Then from here let's move over to the other side and unlock this one perk, and then the last third ability called the Ice Shower and then get this one last perk, and that's it. Now again from this moment you can spend your points in whatever order you want. Okay, so now let's go over to the gameplay where I'll show you the best way to play this build. So first of all, for the Void Gauntlet we have the first Q spell called the Oblivion, which creates a circle around you and your teammates inside the circle will be getting 20% damage increase, but on the other hand your enemy standing in the circle will be taking void damage every second. And a really nice thing to do is while standing in the circle, do a bunch of medium jumps, and because of the perks we have selected we will be getting plus 15 stamina each jump, so this will give us the ability to dodge more enemy attacks and gain more stamina at the same time. I found this feature very useful in 1v1s to escape enemy attacks or in PvE, where the mobs couldn't catch me and much more. So then for the second ability we have a Petrifying Scream, which when using will unleash a void scream, and this will stagger and root enemies in front of you. And then lastly we have a third ability, which is called the Orb of Decay, and you can fire this orb which can go through your targets, and each enemy that it hits it will deal decent damage and reduce their damage absorption, and then later that orb will come back and heal you for a few seconds. And lastly, if you hold the right mouse button you can regain more mana, but in exchange your health will go down. I would only recommend to use this mechanic if you really are at full health and your mana potions are on cooldown, so then use it for a second or two and then you should be good to go. But as for a non-healer build, you should use this mechanic super carefully. So then for the second weapon we have the Ice Gauntlet, and your Q spell is called the Ice Storm, which all enemies standing in it will get damaged and slowed, and the more enemies you hit the higher damage you will get. Then the R ability is called the Ice Shower, which when using will create an ice wall, and if players go through it it will stun them, and this ability is very useful in chapping your targets. And then lastly our third ability is called the Ice Spikes, which when activating creates this trail of spikes in a straight line, which deals damage in AoE range, and if the target is below 30% health a lot of times you can one-shot him. And the way it works that if you're too close close to the enemy when you're using the ability, the ice spikes won't explode with the highest damage to the enemy. So what you want to do is when using the spell and you see that the player is 1 second away from getting hit, then press the right mouse button and this will detonate the spike, which will deal very high damage. So as far as your ability combinations go for the ice gauntlet when farming mobs or even players, the best spell combination to do is place the ice storm, aka the Q ability, on grouped up enemies, and if you see that enemy is stunned, then use the ice spike ability and do bunch of damage. Or another way to set up your ice spike ability is to run into the enemy and place the ice shower spell, and if the enemy touches the ice wall, he will get stunned. So then you can use the ice spikes and it will be easier to hit the enemy. The thing that you need to understand about the ice spike ability is that the trail of spikes is actually pretty small line, so especially in PvP it is pretty hard to hit moving targets. So most of the time I usually use it when I see that I can hit 100% multiple players or just a single stunned player. And then of course for the void gauntlet you want to hit the enemy with the petrifying scream, and then right after place the oblivion spell, and while dodging keep on hitting the enemy. Then when both of these abilities get on cooldown, use the orb of decay, and then after that switch to the ice gauntlet or keep on using the void gauntlet, depending on which weapon deals more damage, and that's about it. So now for my last and final conclusions for this build. This void gauntlet and ice gauntlet weapon combination is very high damage and you have a lot of abilities to put together, and it works very well in PvP and as well PvE. So then for the gem choice for the void gauntlet you want to use the opal gem, then for the ice gauntlet get the malachite gem, and then for all of your gear, rings, amulets and everything else, use the Enix gems. And then on top of all this, like I explained in the first build, to find out the best weapon and gear perks, watch this video, which is titled which weapon and gear perks are the best for your build. You can find the link in this video's description or scroll through my channel, and in that video I will specifically explain how perks work and which ones are the best. So in a quick summary, if you're looking for the best solo mage build, then this is the one for you, so enjoy! So then moving over to the third build, which is the life staff and hatchet, and these are the attributes you want to have. So first things first, if you start from level 0, you want to get your focus to 150 and then start building your constitution, and around level 60 you should have 300 focus and 150 constitution. And then last but not the least, for your gear you want to go with the medium category, and the best gear setup is to have heavy helmet, heavy chest armor, medium gloves, light pants and medium boots. So then moving over to the first weapon, which is the hatchet, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all you want to unlock the berserk ability with these 2 perks, then afterwards unlock the second ability called the feral rush and then get these 2 perks, then lastly unlock the last third ability with these 2 perks, and that's it. Now again from this point and onwards you're free to choose in whichever order you want to spend your points. So then let's go over to the second weapon, which is the life staff, and these are the weapon masteries you want to have. So first of all you want to unlock this one perk and then the first ability called the sacred ground, and then afterwards unlock all these 3 perks. Then now let's go over to the other side and unlock this one perk and then the second ability called the beacon and then get these 2 perks. Then lastly unlock the last third ability called the light's embrace and then get these 2 perks as well. And now from this point you're free to spend your points in whatever order you want. Okay, so now let's go over to the gameplay where I'll show you the best way to play this build. And as we already looked into the hatchet weapon, we will skip it and go straight for the second weapon, which is the life staff. And your Q ability is called the sacred ground, which you have to point and select the area you want to place it in and then cast it for a split second. Then the R ability is called the light's embrace, and it basically works the same way, just for a single target. And of course you can heal yourself by holding the control button and then activating the spell. And lastly we have the F ability called beacon, which you can just aim and it places another huge healing circle on the ground. So the way you want to attack an enemy is first of all from a distance use your life staff and auto attack the target. Then when you get closer to the enemy or he will get closer to you, then switch to the hatchet and activate your berserk mode. And then keep on using auto attacks plus the R and F abilities. And then whenever you get low health switch back to the life staff and place the beacon on the ground, and then to heal yourself use the light's embrace ability. And don't forget to heal yourself, you just have to hold the control button and then activate the spell, and it's that simple. I usually prefer to use the beacon ability first and then right after spam the light's embrace spell. And when I really need more health I use the sacred ground. So for more damage and attacking you use auto attacks and hatchet, and to heal yourself switch back to the life staff, and that's it. So then for my last and final conclusions for this build, this hatchet and life staff weapon combination is meant to do a bunch of damage while at the same time having the ability to survive for very long, and right now it is the best build for PvE and especially for leveling. And then last but not the least, for the life staff you want to use the diamond gem. Then for your hatchet, use the amber gem. And lastly, for all of your gear, amulets, rings and everything else, use the Enix gems. And if you're a new player or beginner and not familiar with how this game works, then basically the hatchet and life staff are two different weapons. One weapon is very good with strength attribute and the other one with focus. But as we mainly have a focus build, by using the amber gem we make the weapon switch from one attribute to another one. So now instead of the hatchet scaling with strength, it scales with focus. And by doing this, we make this build do even more damage and just in general stronger. And then on top of all this, like I explained in the previous builds, to find out the best weapon and gear perks, watch this video which is titled "Which weapon and gear perks are the best for your build?" You can find the link in this video's description or scroll through my channel. And in that video I will specifically explain how perks work and which ones are the best for your specific gear / weapons and much more. So in a quick summary, if you're looking for the best and easiest PvE solo player build which is easy to learn and play, then this is the build for you, so don't forget to have fun. And that's about it. So I really do appreciate everyone for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, feedback or other good solo player builds that you would like to see in the next video, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and you won't miss any more amazing content from me. With all this said, you have an amazing day and I'll catch you in my next video. So take it easy, peace.